surprised because his coach is right there. He's all low key.
Good evening. It looks like everybody is logged in. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:04. And before we start, individuals wishing to address the governing board on any agenda items should fill out a request form available in the lobby and turn it in to our board secretary or superintendent or on that side. Okay. At this time, we're going to go ahead and have Asia Fields, a graduate from Liberty High School, to start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We do have a full house, so bear with us, please. And we're going to start off with staff recognitions. Ms. Airy.
Good evening, members of the board, President Ceja Martinez, Mrs. Pallas Thompson. It is with great excitement and pride that we share a lot of very, very special student recognitions with you this evening, but one in particular, and I'm going to refresh your memory to our board members, as well as those in our community who may have been paying attention to board meetings a few months back as we recognized a very special young lady, and we are so proud to bring her forward for you again this evening. It was in December, in fact, that we had the opportunity to recognize Lana Mohammed, a Centennial High School senior, as one of the nominees for the U.S. Presidential Scholars Award. Tonight, I'm very proud to share with you that Lana Mohammed was selected as one of 3 Arizona winners for the U.S. Presidential Scholars and the only one in Arizona to receive a U.S. CTE Presidential Scholar Award. Let's give her a huge round of applause. And Lana, I'm going to invite you to come on up this way as I read just a little bit here, because we know certainly everyone's going to want to be able to see you and to share. I'm sure our board's going to want to share some comments. So sneak back here with me right here. So we know her teacher, I think, was able to join us this evening and nominated her, Melinda Kainer, for the U.S. Presidential Distinguished Teacher Recognition. So we know how much Lana, Dr. Beltram, and all of us here appreciate the work that she has done, and of course, all of our CTE teachers who work extremely hard. So congratulations on the nomination for that Distinguished Teacher Recognition. For her Distinguished Award, Lana will be honored at the White House this summer. So that is pretty special, and we are so proud of her, of all that she represents, certainly making the Centennial High School community so proud as well. So we just wish her well as she heads that way. And governing board members, I'll turn it over to you.
Congratulations. We'll go ahead and start with Ms. Connect.
Lana, congratulations, and I've seen you on social media, and I've seen you on the stage at Westmark and speaking at the CTE Awards, and not only have you earned great accolades, but you represent yourself and the district very well. So thank you for that. Congratulations, and do come back and tell us what it's like in the White House.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Pingarelli.
I also wanted to say congratulations, and I have been there, and I know you will enjoy Washington, D.C. and the White House, and congratulations to Mrs. Kainer also. I'm familiar with Centennial. Our daughters went there, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Lana. We had the opportunity to meet maybe less than a year ago, and certainly impressed just with the conversation that we have and your confidence that you exude. So congratulations just with all your success here at PUSD. I know everyone in this room, your family, Ms. Gaynor, your family are very proud of you. So just looking forward to learning more as you progress through life and understanding the impact that you'll make in our society. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Doan.
I'd like to say congratulations and best of luck, and have a nice trip and a good summer. And I'm sure you have a lot of future plans boiling. So congratulations.
And Lana, yes, I echo my colleagues' statements. We have crossed paths, and your accomplishments are definitely a testament to your behaviors. And of course, one question, what advice do you give the board as we continue to help our future students?
Honestly, I think you guys are doing a wonderful job at governing this district, ensuring that programs like CTE are giving students a chance to really show their inner talents and able to thrive off of that. So I say, whatever you guys are doing, it's obviously doing something great. So,
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Martinez, I think Lana may have friends and family here, so if we can give them a big round of applause for supporting her. And her accomplishments. So big congratulations to you again. Well, from career and technical education, as Lana so eloquently summed it up, a really important component of the well-rounded education that we hope to give to all of the students in the Peoria Unified School District. We know that the focus on academics is paramount, but certainly we want to make sure our students have access to things like CTE, arts education, and athletics. And we're here this evening to recognize some of our star athletes, and we're really pleased to bring them forward for recognition for you tonight as well. These athletes have dazzled us with their impressive skills, their unwavering speed and agility, and they've really achieved greatness, as you'll see, in a wide variety of sports through the spring season here across our district. In fact, we have a team that was representing us at the national level this year, and we're really quite proud of them. From Sunrise Mountain High School, the varsity cheer and pom teams competed in the USA National Spirit Competition this spring in 4 divisions and took home the national championship. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. And they were coached by Jennifer Johnson, and I believe Jennifer, as well as one of the team captains, Isabella Bogard, was able to join us this evening. Can we get both of you to stand? Achievement. We know you put in many hours of hard work over the course of the year in order to build up to this accomplishment. So big congratulations to you all and to Sunrise Mountain. And we know, and I should have mentioned, that many of the students and the coaches, of course, since today was the last day of school, and for many of the seniors in the audience who graduated a few days ago, we've invited them back tonight. So we really appreciate them giving up their evening to be here. So thank you and congratulations to Sunrise Mountain. We're going to move just a little further down the road to Liberty High School, and in wrestling, Miles Newsel, who capped his senior year with a 44-0 record, winning his 3rd state championship. Along with being a 4-time state placer and a 3-time sectional champion, his overall record is 150-12. This past season, Miles served as a co-captain and earned All-American honors in March by placing 6th at high school senior nationals. He is committed to wrestle at Lindenwood University in Missouri. Of course, we should have him stand. Is he here with us this evening so we can give him a huge round of applause? You hear me recognize you, but Coach here with you tonight, Eric Brenton, as well as his family. If you can stand so we can recognize you all. So big congratulations to you. In track and field, and also from Liberty High School, we have Asia Fields. Asia, here with us, right behind. Oh, let's go out of the way. Oh, Asia, we heard from with our pledge, so if you can stand up for us, Asia. She is a repeat state champion for winning the 400-meter race at the State Track and Field Championship, winning by over 1 second at 54.90. Congratulations to you, Asia. From Liberty High School, the 4x100 relay team. And I know all 4 of them not able to join us tonight, but Mary, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Agube, Close? Okay, what she said. Ella Escobar, Symphony Kruger, and Asia Fields with their award-winning time of 47.06. Congratulations. And I believe Coach Robert Morris is here tonight. If you can stand so we can give you a round of applause. And the family members that support our track and field teams, if you can stand so we can give you a round of applause as well. And also from Liberty High School, baseball. Sound familiar? Like they just recently won a championship. Big congratulations, the state baseball champions. Are they in the house tonight? Yes? Team captains were joined by Trevor Phelan, Kai Tweeda, and Chandler Murphy. Round of applause for them. And they finished the state tournament with a 5-0 record. The Lions won 3 games by 1 run in the tournament. The culmination was a 6-2 victory over the Verado Vipers to capture the school's 2nd state title in baseball. The Lions would like to thank their administration, staff, parents, and players for what they call a truly magical season. So it's just incredible. Congrats to you all. And do we have Coach Chris Raymond and your families here? If you can stand so we can give you a round of applause. Congratulations to all of those Liberty High School athletes. A lot to celebrate. But we've got even more. Moving on to Ironwood High School, Tariq Sutkovic, who is a 5A state champion in wrestling. Tariq was 43-0, an Arizona D2 state champion, a Peoria Invitational champion, and an Ironwood Invitational champion. He scored 238 takedowns this season, which is the most ever by any wrestler in the history of Peoria Unified and the second most in the history in the state of Arizona. As a Fargo All-American, Virginia Beach All-American, and RMN All-American, he's currently one of the best wrestlers in the nation in his weight class, and should mention he's only a junior. Tariq is currently training to be part of the U.S. World Team. Big congratulations to you. Have to stand through all of those achievements, right? There's just so many to list, but big congratulations to you, joined by Coach Sean Flanagan and your family, of course, if they could stand so we could give them a big round of applause. That is certainly impressive. Well, we have really quite an impressive group of student athletes. If we could just give all of them a big round of applause for their achievements. And there's certainly a lot of work and support that goes into the athletic programs across all of our campuses. So if we have any of our athletic directors from our high schools that were able to join us tonight, could you stand so we could give you a round of applause? Any of them able to join us? What about principals? Seeing some principals? Well, certainly, you know who is here this evening is Mr. Mike Sievertson, who oversees all of our athletic programs. So a big round of applause to Mr. Mike Sievertson. Well, if I could, governing board members, since there was just so many athletes we were recognizing, if I could have the coaches maybe come up so that you could be here representing your star athletes, and if our governing board members have any questions or comments for our coaches tonight. Don't be shy. Yeah.
Excellent. Ms. Doan, would you like to start us off?
Well, I want to offer a hearty congratulations to you all for all your hard work and dedication and the gifts that you give to our students. And I know that there's a lot of time spent there. And I'm not a sport person. I'm very impressed with these young people and the efforts they've put forth. And I just want to congratulate each of you on your accomplishments. Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval?
Bless you. So a lot of success stories, that, we certainly just talked about and learned about. But, I'm certain these stories, and there are many others. But I just want to say thank you to the coaches, teachers, staff, parents, and you student athletes, certainly for your passion and certainly goal setting and the hard work that you put in every day, not only on academics, but to be great at your sport. So, coaches, thank you for your certainly commitment and really just extra time that you put in on behalf of our students. Clearly, when we talk about PUSD, we're privileged because of all the programs and the athletics that we hold as a district. But your commitment to go above and beyond to ensure that we're always nurturing the creativity and certainly the passion of our students that goes a long way and puts them on a path of success. So congratulations to you, the families, the students, and looking forward to you guys doing great things in your future.
Ms. Pangrelli?
Oh, I also want to say congratulations for being role models for your students. And in terms of, and I'm too not that athletic, so how do you keep your athletes, their academic success, on track with all the rigors there are for your athletic programs? And anyone that...
I'll answer. All the girls at Sunrise that were on the team, most of them were in honors classes.
Wow.
And so the priority was their academics first, and they have great parent support behind them supporting that. And then the athleticism comes second, which was cheer. And they managed to do both. They kept great grades along with maintaining our rigorous schedule of training. Izzy, who's here, who was a captain for the team, she was top 10% for her graduating class.
Oh.
So that says a lot.
It does. Thank you very much.
Ms. Connect?
Thank you, coaches. Your programs are such a big part of the culture of your individual schools and the culture of our school district. And we know that families actually seek out some of our high schools, particularly for those programs. So thank you for maintaining the excellence in your programs and for nurturing the kids and teaching them. We know that athletics is a really important way to teach students some of the soft skills that they don't get in a math class. And so thank you for helping to create those well-rounded students. We appreciate your efforts.
And as well, I'm grateful, our district is grateful, and so are our students. Coach Britton, I'll have you step up just because I know you. We talk about athleticism and academics, but there's the other part of service to the students and to the community. So with your outstanding Liberty program, I know my son is part of your Liberty High wrestling. What services or what community leadership do you believe you instill in your students?
First off, I think the biggest thing is that our culture, Liberty High School, is very unique. I don't know about the other campus, but I assume because I know there's other coaches that have success, but it's a school-wide, everybody models citizenship, everybody models behavior, they model the emphasis on academics. So for our students, when they walk in, the expectation is kind of set forth, and it's driven by the teachers, it's driven by the seniors and juniors, sophomores and freshmen. So when the freshmen come in, they see what the upperclassmen are doing, and they kind of fall in line. For that, I mean, I would say that's kind of the biggest, that's what's unique definitely about Liberty. And we have great kids, we have a great support system, we have great administration, and everybody kind of feeds off one another. So it just becomes kind of a well-oiled machine.
Well, thank you very much, and we will definitely feed off your guys' success, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
And President Seah Martinez, I would like to ask all of our coaches and our student athletes, we have some photos we're going to take outside since we still have some good sunlight out there, so we want to get some different groups of all of you. So after our recognitions, if you wouldn't mind meeting us right outside the doors here, we can capture some photos of you. We'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and I assume, Ms. Airy, with that, that's all the board, the staff recognitions, and then on to our superintendent, Ms. Linda Pallas-Thompson.
Well, good evening, Mrs. Sejas Martinez. It's been a busy couple weeks. I first would like to personally thank Chris Contreras at Cactus High School. Yesterday, the district was notified that a parent of one of our Oakwood students could not attend her child's 8th grade promotion because she was in ICU about to have brain surgery. Thanks to Chris Contreras and the PSBN team at Cactus, they agreed to record the promotion ceremony with a link to the recording with just a very few hours' notice so that the mother could watch the ceremony when she was feeling better. So that was classic Cactus and Peoria. Very, very special. And Mom is doing well. So thank you. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Colonel Zamora, also from Cactus High School, for receiving the 2017 overall AFJ ROTC Regional Instructor of the Year Award. We just got notice of that today, so that's very exciting. And over the last couple weeks, we had 2,932 high school students graduate last week. And that's pretty impressive, so give a hand. That is enormous, enormous. I just want to say a couple things that are part of the recognition. When I listened to our students, what I heard was the word "we" throughout, and those of you with me, it was constant. We have been touched, and we have touched the lives of others. We need to empower and strengthen one another. We need to remember who we are and where we came from. We need to sometimes take courage. We need to be open-minded. We must not accept mediocrity or an easy way, and we need to support one another. That was the message from our students. They've obviously gotten the message from their parents and their teachers. I wanted to say to my board, that's the message that I get from you, that we are we, no matter how much we can argue sometimes and disagree. We are together, we are unified, and our students modeled that, the 2,900, and that's just our high school, as we stood there for how many? 14 hours? Very special, very special. So thank you for giving me the honor to be here as your interim for the last several months. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. We'll proceed with 3.2, board recognitions. Ms. Doan.
I don't have anything tonight. I do want to say I thoroughly enjoyed the graduation ceremony that I was privileged to attend, and I can't get to as many school functions as I would like to, being mother to a handicapped daughter and full-time grandmother to a 2-year-old. So I enjoyed the one I did get to. I was at Centennial, and I enjoyed that a lot. And it was like a well-oiled machine, just went right off as planned, and the students were impressive, nervous and shaken, but very impressive, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I thank everybody that had a hand or two or feet and legs and whatever else they had to put into it. It was very well done. Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval.
Thank you. This time of year is really the time that it is an honor, certainly to sit up here and serve as a member on this board, to serve you, each and every one of you in this room and throughout the district. The graduations, I'm going to piggyback a little bit off what you just said, Linda. When I listened to a lot of the speeches at all levels, elementary and high school, a lot of the language that was used was focused on character. It was focused on we. It was focused on just positive messaging, from a peer-to-peer regard. So one of the things I've always said is, as a district, our teachers and staff, every day, they build the character not only of our city, but our state and our nation. And the character that we see in this room today of all of our student athletes and all the students almost 3,000 students that graduated from high school and promoted, from 8th grade, you see that character in them. So I want to recognize certainly the parents, our community, our teachers and staff for just your continued passion, for our students. So thank you.
Oh, I also wanted to thank Oasis and Sundance Elementary for inviting me to be at their 8th grade promotions. That was a great time 2 days ago, so thank you very much.
Ms. Connect?
I echo Mrs. Doan's comments that it's amazing how you can get all those thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in succession, and it comes off very seamless. So to those people who worked on that project and getting all those graduations done another year, thank you, and that's really amazing. On a personal note, I did a little math. This, most of you know this is my 12th and final year as a school board member. If you add up the high school graduations and 8th grade promotions, I think I've shaken between 14 and 15,000 hands. And every single one has been a joy. It's been a privilege to serve. So.
Well, thank you, Ms. Connect. I would also like to say thank you for my governing board members for attending, as many of them I know were able to spend some time at a few of them, so thank you for that. I was able to squeeze in a couple events. One of them was the UCAN with Miss Connect. The City of Peoria Police Department discussed the 2020 census is coming up and their homeless interventions, and it's great that we have strong relations. Miss Arias was there as well. I also had the opportunity to attend the Mental Health America of Arizona conference and really focusing on preventable behavior health as we move forward and look into our strategic plan. And ultimately, this is the time of year where we get to celebrate all your hard work and we just get to show up and smile. So thank you, everybody, for all your hard work. This is usually the time everybody goes and takes a picture. You're more than happy to stay. The next agenda item will be public comment, but if you would like to take a picture and continue to celebrate, this is generally the time.
This is items not on the agenda. Not on the agenda, so it's not the main public
All
comment we're
these?
going to get tonight.
Okay. Yep.
You Lana's dad? Congratulations. She's an amazing kid. She really is.
Thank you so much.
We'll miss her.
Do you have a son that graduated from Central? Yes. Is it Mohammed? You graduated with Kayla. Yes, I did. Yeah, okay. She's good.
There are some empty seats if you would like to join us. It looks like there's still people in the back.
Has that 30, since it just left. If it didn't start, it was on Wednesday, it didn't start.
We have some seats up front. And again, if you have any green slips, you can bring them to the side and we can get them up to the front. We're going to proceed with the governing board meeting. Item number 4.1, request to address the governing board regarding matters not included on the agenda. We have one, Jonathan Gelbart. Gelbart, I apologize. And 3 minutes is to respect so that we can have an opportunity to hear everybody speak. And so
Absolutely.
we are ready for you.
President Ceja Martinez, board members, Superintendent Palace Thompson. My name is Jonathan Gelbart, and I am a Republican candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction, running against Diane Douglas. And I'm just here tonight to introduce myself, make sure the board members and the Peoria community knew about this campaign. It's going very well. I'm a born and raised Arizonan, grew up not far from here, went to Washington School District and then Barry Goldwater High School in Deer Valley. Worked my way from there into Stanford, left with a master's in engineering, and came back to Arizona and ended up working for Basis Charter Schools. So that's my professional background. I managed all the finance and operations to open 15 of the Basis Charter School campuses. And I'm running for this office to make sure that every kid in Arizona has access to a truly excellent education. And of course, the vast majority of our kids go to district schools like Peoria. So my goals are to make it as easy as possible for you all to be successful and innovative and more autonomous without as much overregulation and micromanagement from the state level. I want to make sure that the State Department of Education and the Superintendent of Public Instruction are providing you with the resources that you need in the form of systems at the state level, federal compliance help, whatever it is. I think there's a lot of improvements that can be made with that department that I've spent a lot of time looking into. And finally, I'd like to be a bridge between the school system and policymakers and make sure there's constant communication and information in the hands of policymakers about what's going on in our schools on the ground every day. So again, I'll keep it short to allow the meeting to keep going, but again, my name's Jonathan Gelbart. Thank you for the opportunity. I have some information I can leave for you, but keep up the good work, and I hope to help you continue to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right, we have no other requests to address items not on the agenda. We will continue to move to consent agenda item 5.1. Are there any items that need to be pulled? Mrs. Connect? No. Ms. Pingrelli? No. Mr. Sandoval? Ms. Stone?
No.
I do have one, 5.10, because we have a public comment on that item, so we'll proceed if we can pull 5.10, student activities, and then I'll need a motion for the remaining of the consent agenda item.
Mrs. Seja Martinez, I move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 5.
I second. We have a motion from Ms. Connect and a second by myself to approve the consent agenda item excluding 5.10. We appreciate your patience. We do have a new family member, Michelle. She is part of our team, and so they're working through that, so I appreciate your patience.
Like all my candy that I'm on Atkins. Are you doing Atkins?
Would you like us to do, pardon me? I did. Mhm. And then Christopher Wedding. Excellent. You're going to be next to speak in just a moment.
Kathy? Mrs. Connect? What were they waiting?
Ms. Connect. Excellent. Passes 5-0.
I was thinking about it.
Osmosis. All right, we'll move on to 5.10, ratification of student activities report for the month of March 31st, 2018. And we do have a public comment. Excellent, welcome.
Hello. I was just wondering if there was a breakdown of the expenditures for the student activity reports, or if there was like a log of what exactly happened for the CTE events.
Okay, so from my understanding, the student activities report that has been posted online, you are looking for more details specifically related to CTE and those functions. Is that a public records request, or is that something that we can have Michelle speak to? Ms. Myers is going to assist us in that question. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, President Ceja Martinez, members of the governing board, community. We do have detailed accounting records of all of our student activities expenditures. If a club member has a question, the business office can certainly provide that. We typically recommend that you do that through your site administration or your club sponsor.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your interest. All right, with that being said, we need a motion and a second for the student activities report.
I'll make a motion to approve 5.10 as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Pangarelli to approve 5.10 and a second by Mr. Sandoval. Oh, it's up there. Thank you very much. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 6.1, address agenda and consider adoption or recommend changes to the agenda as it is presented. Would any board members like to change it? Excellent. So we will move forward. On to 7.1, consideration of recommendation for administrative appointments for the 2018-2019 school year. Dr. Davidson.
All right. Good evening, Ms. Ceja Martinez, members of the board, Ms. Pallas Thompson, community members as well. Tonight's an exciting time for me to come forward and hopefully have an opportunity to bring to you numerous district administrators and principals, as well as athletic director and assistant principals. Tonight, I'd like to please at this point request that a motion be made and for consideration of our applicants for leadership positions in our district, if you so please.
I move to accept the recommendation for the administration appointments for 2018-2019 school year.
Sorry, second.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Mr. Sandoval. Is there any discussion? Okay, please cast your vote. Excellent. Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you very much. And members of the board, I want to tell you that we appreciate the confidence you have in us as a hiring team. I'm typically one of those individuals, but we usually have a team of stakeholders, depending upon the position type. Tonight, I bring to you 8 individuals, 5 for principals, 3 for district level type of positions. But I also wanted to highlight tonight 2 of our people who are on the consent agenda. I know that they happen to be here. And we have one of those individuals who's going to be serving as assistant principal over at Desert Valley, and that is Ashley Peters. I think Ashley's present if you just want to rise, and congratulations to Ashley. And also tonight on the consent agenda, I believe we approved Mr. Mike Barola to serve as athletic director at Ironwood High School. So Mike. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to go through my list. It's been a very busy hiring season. As you know, there's been a lot of changes in our school district, a lot of people choosing to retire and move on to bigger and better things. And so I certainly am excited, though, for our new crop of administrators. So tonight is recommended that we start with Ms. Michelle Myers to be appointed as Chief Financial Officer for the 18-19 school year. Ms. Myers currently is the Executive Director for Budget and Finance. Prior to rejoining the district, Ms. Myers served as Director of Finance and Controller for Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine and Health Services. While working within the Peoria Unified School District, she has served in numerous roles: Internal Auditor, Director of Capital Assets and Project Accounting, Director of Procurement and Distribution. Ms. Myers has earned a bachelor's and master's degrees in accounting and business administration from Arizona State University. She is also a CPA and a chartered global management accountant. So Ms. Myers, if you want to come on up, please.
Well, good evening.
Well, thank you. Good evening. This is President Ceja Martinez, members of the governing board. Thank you.
It is our pleasure. We are definitely privileged to have you join us at this level, and I have the utmost confidence in your ability. So thank you for continuing your journey with us.
Thank you very much.
Ms.
Thank
Connect? Any comments? Ms. Pangarelli?
Congratulations. It's been great working with you for the last 3.5 years, and I'm sure we'll be speaking much more frequently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes, congratulations. So, certainly when you look at your credentials and the ones that Dr. Davidson just mentioned, very qualified. But the other element, and that we always focus on as we bring on or promote individuals is our values, right? And so I've, over the year and a half, I've gotten to know you, much better, and you've always been very responsive and accessible. So looking forward to continue working with you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Stone?
Well, I'd like to say congratulations, and it's nice to see you moving. And frankly, I was a little worried about the position, to tell you the truth. Some pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm confident that you will do well. And the board is already used to working with you somewhat, so this is a plus as well. So congratulations and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. As we continue, it is recommended tonight that Ms. Christine Lopez-Lira be appointed to the position of Executive Director of Secondary Education. Ms. Lopez-Lira currently serves as principal of Centennial High School and has been there since 2012. Ms. Lopez-Lira has also served in the roles of teacher and assistant principal within the Peoria Unified School District since August of 1994. Ms. Lopez-Lira has earned a bachelor's degree from NAU and a master's degree from Arizona State University. Ms. Lopez-Lira, come on up, please.
Welcome.
Thank you, President Monica Cejas Martinez, members of the board, Ms. Pallas.
Our pleasure. And Ms. Stone, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, Ms.
I understand you've been with the district for a good while, so you have a good feel for it. Can you give me a brief rundown exactly what your job will include? Just
whirlwind for the last few days, as I understand it, overseeing 7 comprehensive high schools as well as CTE, PFA, and I believe the MET program and anything else that comes my way. So,
Good luck.
thank you.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes, congratulations. Every time that, I've walked onto your campus, every teacher, staff, students, for that matter, walk with a lot of pride and collaboration. And again, great character, and that certainly stems from leadership down. Now, I'll say this: I know a lot of the culture that is established at our sites, are certainly driven by our teachers and staff. So, that said, the individual that walks into your shoes certainly is walking into a position that he or she just needs to maintain or certainly enhance. So, but congratulations, well deserved, and looking forward to the passion that you have, for this industry that we call education, and passion for our youth, and just from a different level. So, looking forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll keep it simple. I look forward to our journey.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Pangrilli?
Oh, I just want to say congratulations also. I've known you for several years. It's nice to see you here at the district office, so I'm sure we will be seeing more of you also. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. Next, we recommend that Ms. Holly Harper be appointed to the position tonight of Director of Special Education. Ms. Harper currently serves as principal at Skyview Elementary School. Prior to coming to the Peoria Unified School District in 2013, Ms. Harper served in numerous roles within the Deer Valley School District, which included special education high school teacher, special education department chair, teacher on administrative assignment in the special education department, assistant principal, and principal as well. She has earned a bachelor's degree in special education from Arizona State University and a master's degree in ed leadership at Northern Arizona University. So, Ms. Harper, come on up, please.
Good evening, President Ceja Martinez, board members, and Superintendent Linda Pallas Thompson. I'm very honored to be here this evening.
Well, thank you. I have had the opportunity to attend Skyview's leadership and the things that you do with the students there. I can just imagine the great things that you're going to do at this level. So thank you so much. And Ms. Connect.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sandoval.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To learn more about you.
Good. Thank you.
Ms. Stone.
The special education section is very near and dear to my heart, and I hope to see you do great things and hear good reports. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work, but it's so rewarding, and I congratulate you on your move to this position, and hope to hear a lot. I hope it's not backburnered at all. I really enjoy hearing about it. So
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and now we're going to be moving into our school principals, and as you can see, we have promoted some of our principals to leadership roles, different leadership roles. So tonight, we will follow now with some of those people that are going to fill those big shoes. So I'd like to start off that we recommend that Dr. William Sorensen be appointed to the position of principal of Centennial High School. Dr. Sorensen currently works for the Deer Valley Unified School District as an assistant principal. Dr. Sorensen previously worked for the Peoria Unified School District. He served in the roles of assistant principal and teacher within Peoria Unified School District starting in 2006. Along with a vast amount of experience at the elementary and high school levels, Dr. Sorensen has also excelled in educating himself. He has earned a doctorate in organizational leadership from Grand Canyon University, a master's degree in educational leadership from NAU, and a bachelor's degree in secondary ed with an emphasis in biology from Arizona State University. So, Dr. William Sorensen, please come on up.
Excuse me.
Good evening. And we'll go ahead and start Ms. Connect.
Congratulations on the doctorate and welcome back.
Thank you.
Ms. Pangrilli.
Congratulations.
Mr. Sandoval.
Congratulations and welcome back. Sorry. And welcome back to the best district in the state of Arizona.
I knew it all along.
Ms. Doan.
Congratulations. Good to have you back.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'll definitely echo Mr. Sandoval's comments. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
All right, next. This position that's going to be appointed is one that came open by one of our current high school members moving to another location, serving as a high school principal. So with that being said, we'd like to invite Mr. Russell Dunham to the board here to be appointed to the position of principal at Ironwood High School. Since 2006, Mr. Dunham has served as an assistant principal at Ironwood as well. Mr. Dunham has served in several roles within Peoria Unified School District. Since 1998, he has served as a student advisor and history teacher at Centennial High School. Mr. Dunham earned a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in ed administration from Arizona State University. So Mr. Dunham, come on up.
Oh, Mr. Dunham, I get to start this one off. So Mr. Dunham was my coach his second year, so thank you. I know that you'll challenge us and put us to work, and I look forward to seeing how we can help you. Thank you, Mr. Dunham. Ms. Connect?
Congratulations.
Ms. Pringrelli?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval?
Mr. Dunham, we've known each other for years. Our boys played sports together where we first met. And they say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And, your son is, a great individual and person and a great character. And that's certainly, attributed to yourself and your wife as well. So looking forward to, that same level of just leadership. At Centennial, certainly, I talked earlier about, or Ironwood, sorry. You've got some shoes to fill with Mr. Setka. He's well regarded in this district, and when you talk to the teachers and staff there, he's an individual that they hold in high regard, right? So, looking forward to you continuing that and continuing the certainly successes there at Ironwood, and congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Stone?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm still going to call you Coach.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, believe it or not, just 3 more to go. Hey, so tonight it is also recommended that Mr. Joseph Corbett be appointed to the position of principal at Marshall Ranch Elementary School. Mr. Corbett has worked for the Peoria Unified School District since August of 2004. During that time, he has served as a junior high teacher at Sunrise Mountain High School, assistant principal at Desert Palms Elementary School, and currently assistant principal at Desert Valley Elementary. Mr. Corbett has earned a bachelor's and master's degrees from Arizona State University. So Mr. Corbett, come on up, please.
President Martinez, members of the board, Ms. Powles-Thompson, I am truly honored and excited to accept this position.
Ms. Connect?
I'll never be able to remember where everybody is now. Congratulations.
Pangarelli?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval?
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Doan?
Yes, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And you are in great company. So please let us know all of the great things that you continue to do because we want to hear about them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, it is recommended tonight that Miss Kathy Wallace be appointed to the position of principal at Cotton Bowl Elementary School. Ms. Wallace began her education career within PUSD in August of 1998. While working in the Peoria Unified School District, Ms. Wallace has worked as a CTE teacher at Ironwood High School, curriculum and instructional coach, and currently assistant principal at Cheyenne Elementary. Ms. Wallace earned her bachelor's degree from Northern Arizona University and a master's degree at Arizona State University. So Ms. Wallace, congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Wallace. We'll start Ms. Doan.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval.
As well as congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Borelli.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Connect.
All right. Well, thank you again, and please let us know how we can help.
I will. I'm very excited and look forward to this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, tonight, we recommend Ms. Tammy Moss to be appointed to the principal of Skyview Elementary School. Ms. Moss joined the Peoria Unified School District in August of '06 as a physical education teacher at Alta Loma Elementary. Ms. Moss has served as assistant principal at Santa Fe Elementary School, Sundance Elementary School, and is currently the assistant principal at Frontier Elementary. She has earned a bachelor's degree in physical education and her master's degree with a focus on reading instruction at New York State University in New York. So, Ms. Moss, come on up.
President Seha Martinez, governing board members, Superintendent Linda Pallas Thompson, thank you for trusting me with this leadership opportunity. I'm very excited and looking forward to working with and getting to know the Skyview teachers, students, and community, and continuing to carry on their culture of excellence and success.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Moss. And Mr. Sandoval?
Congratulations. Looking forward to your leadership and looking forward to working with you.
Ms. Stone?
Congratulations. And so you've been assistant principal 3 times?
That is correct.
So
loved each time, too.
It's gonna be a big change bumped up to principal, right?
Yes, it will be.
You think it'll be more or less work?
I think it'll be more. A little bit more.
I think so. But I know the assistants get a lot of work to do too. So I'm sure you're pretty prepared for the role. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. Pangarelli?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ms. Connect?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Seha Martinez, before we end this agenda item, if similar to what Ms. Aries stated earlier with all of our students, we know that our leaders wouldn't be where they are today without family, friends, co-workers, loved ones with their supporting them. So if you wouldn't mind if I could just take time for a second to ask all of our family members that came out tonight, friends, co-workers, to please rise so we can thank you for the support of our new principals and district leaders, please.
And Ms. Linda Pallas Thompson, would you like to add anything to all those recommendations?
Well, Mrs. Seha Martinez, this is an enormously talented group that we have that have moved up, whether it's over to the district, and they're crazy to do that, or up as principals of the schools. I couldn't be more proud. I've worked with so many of you, and you should be very, very proud of how each of them have moved right into these positions, feel very comfortable about our future.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we will move on to 7.2, consideration and possible adoption of a resolution providing for all matters relating to the sale and issuance of school improvement bonds of the district, including delegation to the chief financial officer and executive director of budget and finance of the district to determine certain matters related thereto.
Well, good evening. President Seha Martinez, members of the governing board.
And do you mind, Ms. Myers, I apologize for interrupting. If you would like to stay, please join us as we continue with the conversation or continue to exit to celebrate.
Good evening. President Seha Martinez, members of the governing board, Mrs. Pallas Thompson. Thank you for the opportunity to provide information regarding the next regularly scheduled bond sale from the district's current $180 million bond authorization that was approved by the voters in November of 2012. The district has issued $145.2 million of bonds from that authorization to date. And the next bond sale includes $17.4 million of school improvement bonds for high school, elementary school, and facility renovation projects, and technology and transportation purchases. This agenda item gives the governing board the opportunity to consider and adopt a resolution providing for a bond sale not to exceed $17.4 million aggregate principal amount.
After the issuance, the district will have $17.4 million of bonding authorization remaining in the 2012 program. The draft preliminary official statement, which is attached to this agenda item, has been assembled by Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, the underwriter to the district for the bonds. The document was compiled using information that is typically included in a school district official statement, as well as data that was provided by the Peoria Unified School District. The draft preliminary official statement will continue to be reviewed and edited by district staff and the district financing team prior to it being sent to potential investors. The governing board has the opportunity to review and return questions or comments related to the preliminary official statement prior to a public bond sale. The preliminary official statement must contain all material information necessary to allow potential investors to make informed investment decisions, and the provided content is the sole responsibility of the district. In recent years, security exchange officials have clarified that the governing board should and must participate in the preliminary official statement review. District administration has conducted a detailed review of the preliminary official statement, but it's suggested now that the governing board focus attention on portions of the official statement that relate to the district and the community that surrounds the district, specifically appendices A, B, D, and E, focusing on the completeness of information based on the board members' specific knowledge of the community. If there is a belief that additional information should be included in the preliminary official statement for bond investors, then this fact should be communicated to district administration. To highlight this request, I'll refer to past examples that Mr. Hicks has shared regarding a local government outside of Pittsburgh that was about to issue bonds, and a council member had knowledge that the town's major employer was going out of business. There was resulting liability because this material economic fact was not included within the town's official statement. Administration recommends that the governing board adopt the resolution providing for the sale and issuance of school improvement bonds not to exceed $17.4 million, including approval and authorization of the execution and delivery of all necessary documents and the delegation of determination of certain matters to district administration. At this time, Mr. Brian Lundberg has joined us. He is a managing director with Stiefel Nicholas and Company, and both Mr. Lundberg and I are available to answer your questions regarding this potential bond sale.
Perfect. We'll go ahead with a motion and open the floor for discussion.
I move to approve as recommended.
I second. Is there any board discussion? We'll start with Ms. Doan. Any questions?
Well, I will confess, I did read the whole thing. It made my brain hurt. I'm pretty satisfied with it, so
Mr. Sandoval? Ms. Pangarelli?
No questions.
I just want to take the opportunity to clarify for the community there's another bond issue on this agenda, so I wanted to make sure everyone understood that this has to do with the bond from 2012. And we do receive regular updates on how that is being spent, at what rate it's being spent, and what it's being spent for. So this is just the next installment of that. And so, like I said, I move to approve it, and I think it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Connect, for highlighting that. I was going to clarify as well that the voters in 2012 approved this bond for roughly $145 million. And if anybody had any questions, they can go online. And if they wanted specifics, they can do a public records request. So at this point, I don't see any more comments or questions, and we can proceed with a vote. Thank you very much. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. President Ceja Martinez, may I add a clarifying comment? The authorization from the 2012 election was for $180 million. We have issued $145.2 million to date.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to 7.3, consideration and possible adoption of a resolution ordering and authorizing all matters necessary for a bond election to be held on November 6, 2018. If the resolution is so adopted, the deadline for submitting arguments with respect thereto is August 10, 2018 at 5 p.m. And Mr. Hicks. So with this governing board, there are 33 slides. Please, at any time, if you have a question on a slide, jump on in, and then we can proceed, and I'll recap at the very end if there are any questions or comments to be added. All right, Mr. Hicks.
Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Linda Pallas-Thompson, colleagues and community members, thank you very much for allowing us to present here tonight. I do say us because it's going to be a team effort, so I will start, but we'll have Mr. John Croto, we'll have Mr. Mike Moss, and Ms. Michelle Myers will also join us up here as we go through the slides. And so thank you again for everything. I'm going to go through. I know there's a lot of this has been redundant. I know the board probably knows, so I'm still going to go through some of it. I'll try to go through a little quickly and trying to mind everybody's time here tonight. Our purpose and formation of the committee happened back on September 28th, 2017. Seems like a long time ago. And that was to get together a committee to review the capital needs of the school district and to make a recommendation to the governing board, and thus here we are. We look at, first you form the committee, then we start submitting all the capital needs and information to the committee. The committee members look at it and then approve those capital needs, and then we make a presentation to the governing board. It's just a good reminder to remember that only the governing board has the authority to call for an election. So committees are just recommendations and for guidance only. The timeline, so as I just mentioned, we formed it in September. We did not start our first meeting to the end of November, and then December through March, worked through presenting information, and then April where they deliberated, and May as we're here now for the recommended calling for the election. June is when the district works with the attorneys to get the ballot and all the information proper to the Maricopa County Elections Department, then finalize everything, get the pro and con statements. September is voter information pamphlet goes out, and then early voting begins in October, and the actual election, I believe, is November 6th, 2018. It is a committee membership, and so I've seen lots of our committee members in the audience, and so if it's all right, instead of just naming it, how about we just all stand if anybody's on the committee? Didn't mean to call you out here, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you for spending 7 months of diligently looking through the data and community members who as well attended some of those. So thank you, all of you.
So I would like to echo those statements. So if anybody likes to, I know I start and try to let everybody know. It is a board committee, which means we put all of our agendas and all of our supporting documents online. So you go to our website, you go over to the governing board, you look at governing board committees, find our committee, select it, and you'll have all the information, everything that they looked at and provided. And as it's already been alluded to, very diligent analysis, very thorough questions, very don't take anything at face value, which is what you want from a committee. You want them to look and kick the tires and look around and not just rubber stamp. And I could say wholeheartedly that this was not a rubber stamp as we went through this process. So I'm going to go just really quickly through some of it since I just alluded to it. It's all online, and so if you'd like to see more detail of everything, please go. But we started out providing school funding overview so they understood what we're talking about. A little highlight on capital funding. Went into the current bond information, how tax rate, what that is. Tried to address questions at every meeting that they have from the previous meeting, and then we did look at in December, the city of Peoria in October did their own growth and impact, and we looked at their information and what they had. We did do training on open meeting law so that everybody understood that we are subject to the open meeting law requirements for our committee. Talking about questions, looking at facility needs, looking at those departments. We would bring in directors of those departments and leaders coming in to make their presentations, understand what it means. Continued that through Friday, looking at additional financial information of the bond program, new elementary schools, the Peoria Traditional School, capital, CTE, technology, site-based requests. We took tours. We took a tour where we went to visited 2 of the elementary schools and 2 of the high schools so that we could get an understanding of what some of this means, discuss the safety needs. We worked on grouping the projects and then prioritizing, and then towards the end looking at deliberating on those projects and coming up with a final recommendation. So I do also want to say it was not just talked about just those capital needs. There was lots of questions and discussion about just the economy in general, other potential ballot items, or other cities, other municipalities, other districts. We have the West MEC district, and are they going out? Previous ballot items, we've asked for a ballot bond before, and it failed the last one. The 2012 succeeded, 2005 did, but just looking and having that conversation. Taxes, what does it mean to taxes? Well, how do you sell bonds, and what impact does it have on the tax rate? The current environment of school finance, so as you probably know, during this 7-month journey, we've also had a lot change from our finances and what we're getting funded in, and that has an impact is the restoration of district additional assistance. So we're seeing some capital come back, and how does that impact what the capital needs are of the district from a bonds perspective? And so we looked at all that, had all those conversations, and so beyond what was actually the capital needs presented to the committee. So now I'll have Mr. Croto come right up and continue.
Good evening, President Cesar Martinez, members of the board, Superintendent Pallas Thompson, and guests. What you see before you, there are 7 areas that the committee focused on. We prioritize those as a group. What you see in front of you is facility modernization. That is the #1 priority identified by the committee. And that is in rank order, with restroom remodels being the #1 topic in that group. So that focus area is $63,806,000. Committee voted on that to approve that 12-0 by the committee. This should read growth. It says facility modernization. That is an error, so excuse us. It should say growth in this category. That is the second. There are 2 tied for second. So growth was the second area of focus. Land for a new high school is in there. That was an 11-1 to vote. The high school addition I'll talk about in a second. The new school, elementary school, Peoria Traditional School. Committee felt it was important to provide a new Peoria Traditional School. 18 million, 12-0 vote on that. And recommended a pilot in a different location within the district to get possibly another Peoria Traditional School going, maybe in the southern region of our district. So that was a recommendation that they would like to bring forth with that.
Do you mind going back to one slide? I wanted to highlight when we discussed as a district board our strategic plan, the safety and standard implementation is part of that. So I appreciate
Correct.
that conversation, that the safety, and if you fast forward to the next one, when we talk about meeting our needs of our students. So thank you.
You're welcome. One of the hot topics in this growth area, this was probably the hottest topic of all the focus areas, was the addition of a high school in the northern part of our district. We discussed that for hours at length. That did not pass. That was a 5-5 vote. We had 2 members absent that day. So the committee came up with the compromise of $8.8 million for an addition on to Liberty High School. And that was a 6-3 vote, as you can see there, in this recommendation. So that was the committee's recommendation. You'll see we'll discuss the high school part a little bit later in the presentation, but as that sits, that was $39.8 million in the growth category for this focus area.
Mr. Croto?
Yes.
What is F, and E?
That is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, sorry. Draw a blank, sorry. It's a quiz. I phoned a friend. I have that option.
It's good to have friends.
Okay. All right, tied for second in the focus area, site-based request allocations. This too, important area. If you see here, this is money to improve our campuses, with the oldest campuses being the first priority to fix. So that's 8.4 allocation. Mr. Hicks will talk about that. There's a method that we're going to put in place or recommend to you to put in place to get this done. The oldest schools will receive the most money, followed by the middle schools between 85 and 91, and then the facilities between 1992 and 2014. In that order, focusing on our oldest schools first to bring them up to speed. Like I said, there's a process that this committee discussed to identify the needs on the campuses. We're not just giving the money to the campuses and say, here you go. There's a process that they're going to need to follow to have things fixed and all that. And we will bring that to you in a second on the slide coming up. So. The fourth, remember there was a tie for two. So the fourth is technology. $15 million there was approved. And you see different votes because all these votes did not occur in the same evening. This was over a multitude of meetings. So it took quite a while. The committee, I will commend them on the awesome job of collaboration and talking back and forth and discussing the issues. I thought it was an excellent job by the committee going through all this. Inside of technology, you see student device replacement, staff device replacement. Those are computers, some upgrades on our servers and switches to keep up with the times. Obviously, technology evolves quickly. You see classroom presentation devices there. There is not a line item for that. That was taken out. That was systems, TVs in the classroom for presentation. The committee felt that we could do without that on this one to save some money on the bottom line. So copier replacement and some analytical stuff in the technology. So that was $15,020,800 in that focus area.
So Mr. Croto, quick question on
Yes.
the slide. So a lot of replacements, which is great. You know, we need to make sure that our technology is up to speed with today's day and age. But when we talk about, ratios, one-to-one, technology, student-to-system ratios, right? Was that ever a consideration or a discussion?
It was at one point early on in this, and that amount actually was reduced to try to save some money. I can defer to Mr. Gay if he wants to. Can you address where this takes us with this amount?
Members of the board and Ms. Pallas-Thompson, the original request went in for basically one-to-one ratio for student computers, and this request reflects basically staying where we are. So it's a replacement model, a little better than where we are. We're currently at about 2.3 to 1. This will get us to about 2 to 1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 5 and 6. Again, there's 2 6s to carry it out. 5 is career and technical education, $3.5 million. Unanimous vote in that. That is $500,000 per campus for any upgrades to career and technical education areas. And then transportation, replacement of our buses and activity buses to keep the fleet current, replacing any of the older models out there, keeping our students safe again, and keeping excellent buses on the road. So those 2 areas, 11-0 vote. And then our last area of focus was the arts. And this has a bunch of stuff. This is $4.8 million, as you can see there. Elementary and high school theater, dance and choir equipment, strings orchestra equipment, visual arts department equipment, elementary and high school band equipment is in there, and elementary general music equipment is also in there. So that was a unanimous vote. They felt that it's important to address these needs, and we're one of the few districts, I shouldn't say few, but we pride ourselves in having a great education and providing arts for kids. So they felt it was very important to keep up with our programs and keep them equipped properly.
I would like to highlight as well the fact that it was unanimous vote, that this community understands that the arts program really helps make our students different. So I appreciate that.
Right.
I agree with that, and also when the students have access to equipment in the arts at school, then we don't have to go back to parents and ask them to fund individually. And so it's a more equitable experience for all of our students, and they have equal access to these experiences that enhance their learning, and I think it's fabulous.
Well done, committee, well done.
So the summary of it, at the end, we collected everything, we voted on the summary, and came up with the recommendation you see there. There's the 7 areas of focus, totaling $149,195,000. That was a unanimous vote by our committee for the approval of the entire package as we presented it through the meetings. So I want to thank the committee for a job well done. It was not something that was easy. And they came every day ready to work, and I appreciated their attitude with that. So I am going to turn it over now to, Ken, are you back?
I am back.
Okay, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you very much. So to just to highlight some of the financial impacts, so what does the $149 million request mean? Currently, we spend on a debt service around $28.5 million on an annual basis, and you could see on the top line of what the projected payments going out will actually decrease. So as we're paying off bonds, we'll sell some bonds, but the amount being sold and amortized over will be less than what the current payment is. So you'll start seeing a slight decrease. And right below it is, in terms not of debt service, because that doesn't translate to people, is the tax rate, the max tax rate, looking at the current bonds that we have, the planned sale, and then the new proposed $149 million. We're at $1.60 on our secondary tax rate for those bonds. And you could see next year it'll stay at $1.60. It'll drop to $1.59, and then a little bit down to $1.53. So not a huge decrease, but I will say these are calculated figures. We get assistance from Mr. Lundberg with Stiefel. And when we look at this, I think one important thing to note is they're factual, but one of the things that I know I say all the time is that they also include no growth. So it's taking our assessed valuation, the projections as is right now, and assumes that there's no growth going forward for the next 15, 20 years as these are being done. As we see all the growth that's happening and all the development, there obviously will be growth, but by law, they look at a 10-year average, and the 10-year average, because it has such declines from the recession, are still in there. They don't allow us to use any growth numbers in those projections. So what that means for the new rate for bonds, as you can see, it's approximately 63 cents. So that's an annual cost of the lifetime of the bonds of about $63 a year on a $100,000 home. The proposed and existing tax rate will be about 138 between the two on average throughout the life of the bonds. What does that look like visually? Because really that's just a lot of numbers, and who knows what that means. Here's the element of the dark blue is what you see, if you could see it very well. That is the existing sale. So you approved a sale tonight of 17.4. Next year's sale, and this is how we project and see those costs going out, and the gray line that you see is us backfilling and selling the bonds and spreading them out. And so you can see visually the $1.60 is that line, that it will stay close to it and then slowly start dropping down over the life. And then I would just like to, so I know Mr. Croto reviewed or alluded to, of the site-based allocation as we provide that amount to those schools. There is a 5-step process that was identified, that instead of just giving to schools and letting them do whatever, or instead of just giving to facilities and say, hey, make whatever improvements, it's a process that requires the facilities administrator, Mr. Chris Deeg, to meet with the principal to walk the site to identify those structural needs and improvements that have to be made, and then allows for the principal to see what the total budget is, and then identify additional needs that may be brought in at that point, put a plan together, present it to the site council, present it to the staff so that everybody understands what the entire plan is, and then bring it back to the CFO and the Chief Operational Officer for approval. And then once those are approved, starts 6 months ahead of time, works through the process, then it'll be posted so that everybody understands what the plan is for each site in that. So I think a very well communicated and transparent process for those for that site-based allocation. If there's no questions, we'll have Mr. Moss step up.
Mr. Hicks, I apologize, there is a question on that last slide. So that's, it's quite a process, and, you know, I don't disagree, you know, when we're talking about fiscal responsibility and making sure that we're addressing the needs of all of our sites in the district as a whole. From an overall operational regard, you know, what's the timeline for a site to put in a request and expect a response, you know, throughout these steps? And then is there adaptability for instances where, you know, the need might be more urgent?
Madam President, members of the board, good question about, so this is probably part of why we put in this process, because if we identify things now and they actually don't happen for 5-6 years, is it really what's the same need now as it is then? And so we thought this starts 6 months before the funding actually comes up. So we would not do this with every single school. In those bands of the oldest, middle, and newest, there are about 13 schools in each one. So you would start with the first oldest 13 schools, start 6 months ahead of time, and by April, you would have a plan of what with the funding that is in place to what would be going forward. And so they would all know, and so they would not put any requests in now. You would wait until that 6 months prior to, and then you put a plan in place to address all those. You're welcome.
Madam President, member of the board, I'm probably going to change the direction a little bit here, what we're talking about, and how I got involved in this process. As the new Director for Research Planning and Assessment, there were information coming back from the committee talking about adding wings, doing some different things, and they began to ask questions, administration began to ask questions about whether or not there was a high school necessary for the northern half of the district. And so they asked me to go back and look at some of the information and see really the credibility of the information we had, and if we had any other information that would lead us to believe that the report that we had received was correct. And so I looked at a couple different things, and one of the first things I wanted to look at was to make sure that our bond committee had been given the information in order to look at the decision and make a decision, make a recommendation. And I found that there were two presentations, both made by Ms. Wendy Davy. One was on January 31st, while she addressed some of the information we're going to have tonight, and she gave them the information that they requested on enrollments, on projections, on those types of information. I'll show you what in that process as we go along. The committee asked for other information, and I know that she sent them information on these topics here: demographic trends, household age and school age population, in other words, birth rates, which are declining in our county, residential developments, for example, housing starts and housing permits, future residential development, and again, market conditions, what's happening with the economy, as Mr. Hicks alluded to. And so I know that they had received some of this information, and I'm sure they considered it in all of their decisions. My next step then was to go back and find out what information did I have now, after the fact, after they've been getting that information, what information could I collect that would give us a better picture in terms of whether or not we were really going to be moving forward, whether or not this report that we'd received from Applied Economics, and I'll talk about them a little bit more, whether or not they were on target or giving us the proper information about what's happening in the northern half of the district. And so we have a great relationship with the city of Peoria and the city of Glendale, because we get these types of information on a regular basis. I get quarterly zoning development updates. We meet with the development groups, and they tell us what's coming, what's happening, which ones are slowing down, which ones are speeding up, what's going to the city council. All of those things happen to us on a regular basis. I get a monthly report that tells me the number of housing permits that are issued in each of the districts in the city of Peoria. And they also give us the opportunity to comment on any new application for new housing developments in the city of Peoria. So we get the opportunity to talk with each of these groups about potential help with developer assistance agreements and create partnerships with all of these developers as they begin to build new houses. And so not only do we see them, but we work closely with the city to move forward. The city of Glendale has the same. We have a very similar relationship. We do get new application comments and, again, updates on zoning requests. But probably the biggest piece of information, and I had not seen it because Ms. Davy had worked on it, was the Applied Economics report. And so the first thing I'd try to do was go back and read it about 5 or 10 times to make sure I understood what everything was in there. And here's a couple things I want to talk to about that. First, I've been around a long time, and I know in past bonds, one of the comments that was always made was that we were our own demographers. We had people who worked here, who did this job, who looked at all the economy, looked at all the homes, looked at all those things, and we were always criticized of, it's your numbers and you're not telling us all the information. I think this is a great step forward to hire applied economics because we didn't make up the numbers. They gathered the information, we gave them a 40th day count, we told them what our numbers and number of students are, and they do all the rest of the information. Applied economics itself is the expert really in the state of Arizona. They work with approximately 30 school districts, also local governments, including the city of Peoria, regional economic development organizations, and they not only work in Arizona but nationwide. And what they really do is take all of those factors, all the factors that impact schools, and they put them all together, and they give you an annual report of what they estimate to be your population, what the number of kids who live in your area, how many come, what schools do they go to, all those types of things, and how economies are going to grow in the future.
So just to be clear, this is a third party.
This is a third party, correct?
Thank you.
Okay. So this information that I read is the annual report, January 11, 2018. We expect, and I would highly recommend that we never relinquish that we get one every year, because I think it will give us a good picture of what's going to happen in the future in our district in terms of growth and the number of students. So when we got this information, probably the biggest chart, and I know that people can't read that information, I apologize to them, probably the biggest chart that kept sticking in our craw was the last 2 pages of the report. And what it really says there is when it turns red, thank you, when those colors turn red, it means that you have exceeded the capacity of what your schools will build for. What began to really jump out at us is Liberty High School. If you start noticing 2021, 2022, 2023, in there you start looking at 2,863 students, 2,992, 3,006. The questions really came back, and once that came back to me was, Ms. Pallas Thompson said, tell me if this applied economics report is correct. What information do you have to say that this is true? And so I began to look at those sources of information that I had and tried to match up what they were projecting with what was really happening with the information that I was getting on a monthly basis. And what I came back to with, and now you got to shrink it back down. There we go, thank you. Is that for the last 2 months, month of March, there were 109 housing permits issued, and for the month of April, 131 housing permits issued for every house north of Beardsley Avenue in North Peoria. Those are not overall for the city of Peoria, those are only those that would affect the northern half of our district. When I looked at the growth, if you annualize that, it's about 1,450 new homes a year. If you take a look at that about 3 years, that's about 4,500 new homes being built within those areas in the next 3 years. The second piece, which again is one of the key components of the applied economics report. The second was that they said there's going to be lots of growth in the future. Well, in order to back up the 1,440, there has to be other developments coming online. Currently, on the papers that I get for the month of April, there are 14 rezoning, plat modifications, or plat approvals in process with the city of Peoria. In other words, these are places who are asking, can we take agricultural land and turn it into residential? Can we turn commercial land into commercial and multifamily homes? Each of those processes probably take, by the time they get through the city and they begin to break ground, usually take 12 to 14 months for that process to occur. So again, do we have future growth projected in those two areas? And I believe, I got to remember the names, but I believe it is Mesquite and Willow section districts of North Peoria, and those are where all of those housing projects are taking place. Finally, one of the things that I wanted to say, are they just predicting the north? And they came back and actually said, no, you're going to see infill projects that are going to come back and fill in the southern half of the district. And right now, I changed that number actually because I got a new one today. There are 6 developer assistance agreements. As we spoke to earlier, developer assistance agreements are those agreements between between us and our developers. and they help us to fund some of our schools based upon the number of houses that they build.
And when's the last time we looked at those developer assistance agreements?
I looked at one today. As a district?
As a district.
I know it hasn't been in the last 2 months or 3 months, and that's what I've been here. If you want me to look at those in the future, we certainly
And the
can.
reason why I'm bringing this up, and Mr. Hicks and I have had this conversation, the last time we really addressed the developer assistance, and these some of the emails that we received, we haven't touched it in 11 years, and each home that we get is worth $1,000. So when we discuss future agenda items, I will bring that up.
Okay. But these developer assistance agreements we're talking about now are all in the areas that they said they would be in. They said they're going to infill in the central area. Currently, there's 3 developer assistance agreements we're working on up and down 75th Avenue. There's one on 75th and Paradise. There's one on 75th and Running Horse. There's one on 75th and Acoma that are all starting to go through the process of having approval. We're looking at some, we signed one already that I'll bring to you probably at the next board meeting in Youngtown, just south of Youngtown, that will impact Country Meadows. There's one I know in the Cotton Bowl area. There's one I know on 83rd Avenue and Glendale or Northern, right down there in the very southern tip of the district that will impact, I believe, Cotton Bowl also. So there are places that are coming back with infill back to the inside of our district, and all of these things not necessarily are significant in themselves, but what it does, it goes back to the credibility of the report and the numbers that they projected for us in those years coming in the future. And the last piece is probably the one that put it over the top for me in terms of whether or not we should actually go through with this process and I think help with the administrative recommendation. There's one of the largest developments in the north is called Alora Vita. Alora Vita is on the corner of Joe Max and 75th Avenue. Half of it sits in the Deer Valley School District, half of it sits in the Peoria School District. And from the report, it says the development of the southern half in the Peoria District is not expected to begin until the middle of the projection period, which would be 5 years out. It is doubtful, though possible, that it would advance faster. And this is right from the report on page 16 as it goes through there, projecting what's going to happen. At our quarterly meeting this March 16th, the city of Peoria presented us with a plat approval process that Alora Vita had started in the southern half of our district that meets those criteria for 390 homes that are projected now to start in 18 months. So it said to me, not only are we going to, does the project say 5 years, but the project may actually, the report may actually be understating what's going to happen because we may actually be growing faster in that area than what we've seen before. Okay? Now, the next piece, and I'm not sure that Ms. Pallas Thompson knew what she was getting when she asked me this question, because I've been around for a long time, and as soon as they began talking about this, I went back to some of my younger days that I did different jobs, and I had to bring it back. This is, again, gathering information from lots of different places. Past experience, where I was the assistant principal at Sunrise Mountain High School in 2002 to 2005. And those of you who weren't around during that time, we tried to put 2,500 students into a school built for 1,800 to 1,900. How did we do that? We ran double sessions. 7 o'clock in the morning to 2:30, we had 10th, 11th, and 12th graders come to school. Freshmen came to school at 10:30 in the morning and didn't get out of school until 5 o'clock because we just didn't have room for them. In our second year and third year, we actually rented a facility in Fletcher Heights. It was a charter school that had gone out of business. We rented that facility, moved all of our freshmen over there. I can't tell you about the number of logistical nightmares of trying to get a freshman kid back to class after being in the band class on the main campus to get back to the freshman class, to the freshman campus to take his English class, to turn around and come back to the main campus to take his advanced biology class. We had those things running constantly back and forth. And again, the difficulties that occur when you have a school that's overcrowded, I speak from personal experience. I know that we talked about facility limitations, and I know that they talked about adding a wing. One of the things that I was able to explain to Ms. Pallas Thompson, that while that is certainly an opportunity. It doesn't give kids, it doesn't provide the best education for students who go to those schools, because what happens is you run into other facility limitations. And I'll give you some simple examples. I have there a photo lab. On the Sunrise Mountain campus, we had a photo lab that we could fill with eight classes a year of 30 students, about 240 kids who take photo every year. And we had 600 of them try to sign up for the class. We had CTE facilities. We had a great nursing program. We got a great auto program. Again, a single classroom that we used 8 times a year. You had 240 to 250 kids in the class. And by the time you went through there, you were running probably 600 or 700 kids who wanted to be in those programs because of how good they were. And essentially, we just turned kids away and said, I'm sorry, you have to take your second choice, your third choice, whatever comes back to the line. Probably the biggest regret educationally I have as part of this is I was in charge of the master schedule. And one of the things that I had to do is I had to cap the number of chemistry and physics classes and the number of students who could be in those classes, because we only had access to a certain number of science labs. And at that point in time, integrated science was a required freshman class and biology was a required sophomore class. And therefore, we used those lab facilities probably 90% of the time for required classes, and that took away from the opportunity of kids being able to take chemistry and physics classes and have access to labs. And so, again, my personal experience in that, I will tell you that I've worked in the district for 23 years, and those were probably the lowest times that I felt that we did not provide the highest quality education we could to the students who went to school there. And so, again, it's personal experience, not related to numbers, but something that I lived for those 3 years. And any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them. No, Ms. Myers?
President Ceja Martinez, members of the Governing Board, Ms. Pallas Thompson, this evening, administration has brought forward information regarding the Citizens Advisory Bond Committee process and the committee's recommendation for a $149,195,000 bond authorization that includes the construction of a new traditional elementary school, facility modernization, school and site-based renovations, transportation, technology, arts, and CTE program expenses. The committee's recommendation does not, however, include an amount to build a new high school in the northern part of the district. District administration has reviewed student enrollment, economic data, and options to address the projected district residential and enrollment growth in the next few years. Based on this analysis, administration has formed a professional conclusion that the best option to address student needs is to build a new high school. Mr. Moss has shared data this evening that highlights this need, as well as the impact on students when a less than optimal option is used to address student enrollment growth at the high school level. The construction timeline for a new high school is approximately 3 years. The addition of $40 million to the Citizens Advisory Bond Committee recommendation of $149 million, $195,000, provides the district with bond authorization to begin the process to build a high school at the optimal time, to address student needs and to support student learning. This option is also consistent with the district's long-term property tax rate management and will not raise property taxes. An additional $40 million of bond authorization is noted in yellow in the highlighted slide on the screen. This amount, if combined with the bond committee's recommendation, would keep the tax rate at or below $1.60. Based on the data that has been shared this evening, district administration asks the governing board to consider and approve the Citizens Advisory Bond Committee's recommendation in conjunction with district administration's recommendation for a high school construction amount for a combined bond authorization of $189,195,000.
Thank you very much. I will go ahead and start with a motion and we'll proceed with conversation and public comment. I'm going to make the motion, follow Robert's rules, and then we'll go from there. I move to adopt a resolution ordering and authorizing all matters necessary for a bond election to be held on November 6, 2018, to include the recommendation from the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee of $149,195,000 and the recommendation from the administration of $40 million to build a new high school to equal $189,195,000.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. And I have the motion written down. Did you want to proceed with conversation, and then I can just hand you the paper? Okay. And we'll go ahead and we'll start with conversation. Ms. Pengarelli, would you like to start us off, or want some thoughts? Okay. Ms. Connect?
Are we going to hear from the speakers first?
Want to hear from the... Okay. Melissa Briggs?
Ceja Martinez and members of the board, my name is Melissa Briggs. I have 4 students here in the district. I have 2 elementary school students and 2 students at Liberty. They're currently a freshman and sophomore, so they'll be junior and sophomore next year. From my assessment, PUSD does have 2 very pressing needs. They do need to renovate and modernize our aging campuses. I am familiar with that. My students play sports. I'm on those campuses. I was at Cactus High School last week for a basketball tournament. I am aware of that. They also need to accommodate for substantial growth as more and more families are moving to the area. I'm grateful for the work of the Bond Committee, that they recognize the need to allocate funds to updating our aging facilities on our campuses, and I fully support that action. I think that that is something that is needed. But I do support also the addition of the high school to the bond. In order to accommodate for the substantial growth, we need to build a new high school, and you just heard all the stats. I could repeat those, but instead I'll just tell you my personal experience with my children that do go to Liberty already, which currently is at 2,300 students, and in 3 years, it will be at 2,800 students. At its current enrollment, Liberty already faces issues with some of the general facilities that are used by the entire student body. For example, the cafeteria and the parking. Parking is a big deal at Liberty. Some of us live 11 miles from that campus. Our bus pickup time is 6:20 in the morning. And so it is important in order to be able to participate in before and after school activities to be able to park on campus. However, our family was placed on the waiting list for a parking spot in August of 2017, and we never got a spot. Also, as the student body at Liberty is getting larger and larger, the percentage of students that get to participate in extracurricular activities and CT courses is getting smaller. And this participation is vital to making a well-rounded student. When we filled our ECAPs a couple of months ago, we received an email from the school counselor directing us not to request certain courses because they were already closed due to physical space. And so already, not even 3 years down the road, right now, we are facing limitations on which courses we can take. And these are not problems that are going to be solved by adding academic building to Liberty. So we do need to build a new high school, and I feel like the bond with the addition of the new high school will meet the needs of the entire district and all the students that it serves. Thank you.
Angela McGonan.
I would first like to thank you as a board for putting forth so much effort into the current bond issues. The work that you have done and continue to do will benefit so many students. I am here today to express my support of the new high school to be added to the northern part of the Peoria Unified School District. I'm a proud product of the Peoria Unified School District. I started kindergarten here and graduated from Ironwood High School. I think very highly of the district as a whole and feel lucky that my own kids get to grow up attending schools within the district. I currently have a son that is going into 8th grade and a daughter moving into 7th grade at Lake Pleasant Elementary. I'm very concerned after discussing with parents who have high schoolers currently at Liberty, as well as educators that currently teach at Liberty, of my own children transitioning into high school that it might be too congested. I have heard from parents who have children currently attending Liberty that the campus is congested. Getting into the neighborhood in the morning is very difficult, and when leaving in the afternoon, it takes longer than necessary to leave. The large population of the school leads to students not being able to take the classes that they prefer, and that could affect their grades, their behavior, and their career path. These same concerns are also felt by teachers that are currently employed at the school. After speaking to a teacher who was currently employed there, she stated that she fears that with the addition of more students, the campus will become a safety issue. The hallways are difficult to move through during passing periods as it is, and during any kind of drills, it takes longer than necessary. It is her opinion that the kids do need the extra space, and if the crowding continues, there will be more behavior problems occurring. Adding a building would help the current population of students, but the addition of more and more students with the growth will only make the problem rise. The population of North Peoria only continues to grow. Each day I drive around and I see more and more houses being built and families moving in. The need for more schools to support this growth should be obvious to anyone, but couldn't be more obvious than it is to those of us living in the area and having children who currently go to Liberty or will be going there soon. Adding a building to the structure is only putting a Band-Aid on the problem. I know that as a board member, you truly want what is best for students of our community, and I know you will work hard to address the current issues, and I and everyone have spoken here tonight truly care about. Thank you for your time this evening, and again, thank you for all that you do.
Leslie Hatch.
Good evening, President Ceja Martinez, members of the board, and Mrs. Pallas Thompson. I would first like to thank the Bond Committee for their hard work. I know they have worked tirelessly to ensure that all needs of the Peoria School District are being met and have been actively listening to their communities. My children go to Lake Pleasant Elementary, and I am very supportive of the bond with the suggestion the district made to include new construction of a high school. I have always been supportive of bonds, but I'm also embarrassed to admit that my ignorance in the past of just how much work goes into them is something that I've had to learn about. I am thankful for the board members, especially those who emailed me back, and I appreciate the respectful dialogue and the education I had through the email communication. I've learned a lot and I've educated myself, and I hope to be more involved in the future. I think many community members were like me before this happened. We just assumed that a new high school is in the works and we were just waiting patiently, not doing anything. I now realize that community involvement and voicing concerns is absolutely necessary for my children and other children in the community. I support this bond proposal. I support the dire repair and renovation needed in the district. Our community in Peoria is growing rapidly, and anyone who lives here can see that this is the place where everyone wants to be, and it's with good reason. I have moved here from North Phoenix. I grew up North Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and I love it out here. So I can appreciate that the conversation that we're having now is looking ahead for planning and growth. The bond proposal with the addition of a high school is fiscally responsible, in my opinion, and meets the needs addressed in the entire district. If we can get this bond passed now with a high school added in the north, we won't be scrambling 2 to 4 years from now when our growth has our schools bursting at the seams. I believe that the time is now to start planning and preparing, and as I tell my children, you will fare better if you don't wait until the last minute, and I feel this applies to this situation. In just a few short years, I will have a high schooler, and I feel that a new high school, in addition to repairs and renovations for all of the schools in the district, will impact our children in a positive way. I thank you for your time, and I urge you to support all of this, and I really appreciate all of the hard work that's being done.
Thank you for being engaged. Heather Neeson. Heather.
President Ceja Martinez, the board,
Superintendent, thank you for having me. I stand here tonight not only for my children, but for each current and future student in the Peoria School District. I believe every student deserves access to quality schools close to their home that allow them to participate in extracurricular activities, take electives that spark their future interests, and have teachers that inspire them. Overcrowded schools or shifting students to farther schools is no way to achieve these things. I believe we need to update current schools, and we need a new high school in the north to accommodate the rapidly growing area. It will take 2 to 3 years to build a high school if it is placed on the bond right now. We cannot wait to start building a school in the north. Please add a high school to the bond in order to maintain the quality education that is currently happening in the Peoria School District. Thank you so much.
Heather Nito. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Nito. It's all right. I get that all the time. President Seah Martinez, board members, superintendent, thank you very much. It's an honor to speak before you. I'd like to speak to you not just as a parent, my son goes to Skyview, but also as a teacher at Sunrise Mountain High School. A new high school is desperately needed in our district. Our classrooms are overcrowded. We have 26 students in an elementary classroom, 40 students in a high school classroom. I was looking at my enrollment today for my senior classes, and they're pushing 40. I have no room. There's not enough books. There's not enough technology. Next year, we will have to share classrooms on my campus for the new teachers because we don't have room enough for the teachers who need to teach our kids. I'm kind of a nerd, so I had to look this up. A 2014 study by Northwestern University said that class sizes are an important determinant of student outcomes and one that can be directly determined by policy. The evidence suggests that increasing class sizes will harm not only children's test scores in the short run, but also their long-run human capital formation. And smaller class sizes work because smaller class sizes are linked to higher achievement, higher levels of student engagement, increased time on task. Smaller classes provide the opportunity for higher quality teachers to better tailor their instruction to their students in their class. But more importantly, smaller classes allow for our teachers and our counselors to build relationships with students so that when students are struggling, they're not a small fish in a big sea, that we're able to help a student before we lose them or before something happens on our campus. When I taught in Texas, my largest class was 26, and I thought that was such a huge class. And then I came to Arizona, and my smallest class was 39. And I love every student that walks through my door, but it's difficult to meet the needs of my students when there's 39 or 40 or 41 in a class. It's difficult for me to give them the personalized learning that they deserve. And I completely support what the board is doing. I support the committee, but I respectfully urge and request that you add this high school to this bond, not just for my son, not just for our children, but for our future. So thank you very much. It is an honor to speak for you.
Thank you. Eva Suna.
President Seah Martinez, board members, superintendent, my name is Eva Osuna. I live in South Peoria. I've been in Peoria for all of my life. I didn't have any children, so I didn't have children in the school district, but my family, my extended family, we've always supported the school district with the bonds. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. It's important, it's an investment, the best investment we can make for our children, for the future. I am a product of, I graduated from Peoria High School. Why? Because we support education and my extended family as well. I support the bond with the inclusion of the high school. I think it's important. These kids deserve to go to a high school that's close to them, that's appropriate for them, that's safe for them. And I believe that this bond committee, and I applaud you for coming together and putting together such a great committee. This bond is comprehensive. It addressed everything. I'm very impressed with it. So I thank the
the committee that was on it. I also want to talk to the community, because asking for you to include the high school is one thing, but we're going to have to get our boots to the ground, and we're going to have to get out there to the doors, and we're going to have to ask people to vote. We've got to get this passed. Thank you so much.
And the next list I have, let's see, and Julie Garrettson.
Good evening, President Seha Martinez, members of the board, Mrs. Pallas Thompson. My name is Julie Garrettson. I am a Liberty and Sunset Heights parent. And as you remember, I was here 2 weeks ago. 3 minutes wasn't quite enough time, so I'm back to try to get 3 more minutes in. And I have something written out, but it's like gone kind of out of the window. So I will read some, but I've got some new things to say also. First, I do want to thank the committee for all of their time and their hard work that over these, I think Mr. Hicks said 7 months. But I also want to thank the PUSD administration for their work with this committee. I do urge you, just like last week, well, no, because the high school wasn't included last time. I urge you to approve this $189 million bond. This bond will benefit the whole district, providing much-needed repairs and renovations, as well as addressing the growth. We're growing. We've seen numbers tonight, and it's not stopping anytime soon. We must be proactive. We need a new high school sooner rather than later. I realized earlier this week, because my youngest now, well, as of today, she is an 8th grader. And so I realized that this may not, a new high school being built, may not even benefit my family. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the supporting the bond, even though the high school may not have a direct benefit to us. And I do want to also speak about what she said too about us getting out there and supporting and spreading the word. And I think the past couple months, everything that's happened here in the state with Red for Ed and everything that's going on and the support behind education, we're ready to get parents out there and spread the word about this, and that we need this one passed, this bond. So again, I do urge you to approve the $189 million bond. Thank you.
I do have a list, and I've saved the committee members last, so just bear with me. Jennifer Krichbaum.
President Seha Martinez, members of the board, thank you. I want to start off by thanking the committee members. Having sat on a bond committee previously, it is no easy task. And there's definitely a lot of feelings that go into this. And with that being said, I'm actually going to echo a lot of my community members' points that I think bear repeating again. The arts programs make a difference. Ms. Monica Seha Martinez, I believe you said that. Overcrowding these schools and limiting these opportunities for our children, we need the Lanas of the world, and we cannot have that with overcrowded classes and deteriorating schools. Support student needs and optimal learning. Optimal learning. Again, we cannot have that in deteriorating schools and overcrowded classrooms. One of the other parents mentioned that they didn't know previously. that is changing. The awareness right now is so high in education that the times are changing, the people are changing, they're knowing what is needed now, and they're supporting it. I'm a PTO president going into my 4th year as PTO president, and every year, I come from one of the smaller schools in the district, but also the fastest growing school in the district. This last year alone, we raised almost $30,000 for the PTO and put half of that back into technology and school supplies, which is telling me that the community is willing to put money into the schools. The community is willing to put the money into the schools. And I think that bears repeating again, because what I am seeing is that the community is willing to put the money into the schools. So I urge you to go for the $189 million bond, not have a change in everyone's taxes. Everyone will stay where they're at, continue to support the schools, continue to support our education, optimal learning for our children. Thank you.
Annette McCarty, Abraham.
I brought the big book because I'm on the bond committee.
Yes, and thank you
right.
for clarifying that.
Yeah.
The rest of the speakers are the committee members, so.
President Seha Martinez, members of the board, and Ms. Pals Thompson. I'm Annette McCarty Abraham, and I just said I'm a member of the, okay, and a parent, and also president of the Peoria United Parent Council. And the bond, as everybody's mentioned, we started meeting last November. And I want to thank the district employees. They haven't gotten enough congratulations that came to present to our Citizens Advisory Group. We heard presentations about the complexities of school finance, which I know you know a lot more than I do. Facility updates around roofs and restrooms. And I want you to know there's 1,133 restrooms in the district, in case you were wondering. So, among the other presentations that we had, another key one that I learned was, did you know that in 1975 the city covered 7 square miles, and today the city of Peoria covers 180 square miles? So it was a lot of fun facts that we got to learn while on the bond committee. The presenters did a great job showing us the entire district, and I want to thank the principals also who came in on Saturday and opened up Peoria High School, Peoria Elementary, Foothills Elementary, and Cactus High School. We were able to see the repairs and renovations needed firsthand, the dire needs of Peoria High School's auditorium, some of the surrounding classrooms there, the infrastructure and needs and safety needs of Foothills Elementary, Peoria Elementary. We got to see a renovated auditorium at Cactus High School with what can be done with our bond dollars. Looks super. The new floor tiles, we're trying to create some consistency there. And, some of and at Cactus, some of the needs that they were needing in science. We learned that restroom repairs are the #1 item requested by students. Not very sexy. They want restrooms fixed. Personally, we bought our home in 1996, the year Sunrise Mountain High School opened, and the population was 75,000 people in Peoria. Since I purchased my home, 13 new schools have been built to meet the needs of our growing district, 9 elementaries and 3 high schools. Past Sunrise, we had Kellis in 2004, Liberty 12 years ago. And so now the population's over 175,000. And what I hear is Peoria is only 40% built out. So the new construction will represent only 37% of the total bond. And with the tax rate remaining the same, my chant is going to be following Governor Ducey's lead when he stated we're improving education without raising taxes. And thank you for letting me serve on the bond. What I'm going to do is personally, I will do everything to help pass the bond and reaching out to parents, community members, and our business community.
Thank you. Armando Macias.
Thank you, President Seha Martinez, Board, Superintendent Palace Thompson. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Just wanted to give you some background information on myself. I have been a Peoria resident since about 1985 and a resident of the West Valley my whole life. I moved to Peoria in about 85 after working at Peoria Elementary when the Peoria Elementary and the high school were still together. So it's been a while. And I was 20 years old, but I don't know what it was. There was just this attraction to the city that I had never really been part of before. And I decided that when I was in a position to buy a house, I was going to move to Peoria. And I did it. And I have been a Peoria resident ever since because I love it here. My wife and I have 3 sons. All of them have been products of the Peoria Unified School District. And I'm proud to say that. But I am also proud to say that I served as a teacher in the district for 11 years. I taught at Ira Murphy Elementary those 11 years. I taught there, I stayed there because I loved it there. But my biggest concern year after year was, when are the problems that take place, the repairs that need to be made, when are they going to be addressed? I was there 11 years, and I can tell you, very few things happened. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to be part of this committee this time, because I wanted to bring that to light in case people didn't understand that. There's a lot of things that need to be done to bring our schools to an acceptable level, especially the older schools in the district. So as part of this committee, this was the first time that I had this opportunity, and it was a very eye-opening experience. You know, as a teacher at Ira Murphy, one of my goals was always to try to get kids to think differently. And that's my goal, again, standing in front of you tonight. I want everyone in this room to start thinking differently. There is no South, there is no North. There is one Peoria school district. You know, Ms. Pallas Thompson said it. She said, we. And it's going to take everyone's efforts to get out of your front door, put on your walking shoes, your tennis shoes, or whatever, and hit the streets in your neighborhood. This is the only way it's going to pass. There are people that say it will not pass if we at the high school. I challenge everybody to prove those individuals wrong. Thank you for the time.
Ray Connolly.
Good evening, President Seja Martinez, Board, and Mrs. Pallas Thompson. I am the principal at Sunset Heights Elementary School. I had the privilege of opening the school, and so I have the unique perspective of what it's like to be up in the north with all the growth, but I've also served as assistant principal and principal of southern schools. So I've got that unique perspective as well. Sitting on the bond committee, I was able to certainly have empathy for both issues, the older schools that have needs. Certainly that's something that the district has always had concerns about and have always tried to do their best to repair whatever the issues were. When it comes to the schools in the north, my school is already overcrowded. We've had to have boundary committee meetings, as you all know. You all have given us direction as far as what to do with the growth at Sunset Heights. As far as Liberty High School, I have many, many parents at my school who have children at Liberty High School, and they have concerns certainly about the safety, the overcrowding, parking, of course, but the main thing is the safety. When we first started on the committee and we got to hear all of the district administrators and department leads come to us and really describe all of the different line items that are needed across the district, I think it was an excellent way to show the bond committee what is needed. And so after we looked at all of that, the amount was certainly higher than the current bond. And so once we were faced with that, going into the 200 millions, we said, okay, we've got to do something to bring this down. And we worked really hard at that. And so we came down to the amount where we could be right back where we started at the 189. So that took a lot of meetings and a lot of reductions, but we were able to do so, still keeping in mind what needed to be done in the south, and still looking at, instead of 2 elementary schools, just 1, and also the high school. The final recommendation was to remove the high school, however, from the bond, making the amount lower than the current bond, which really in essence becomes a Band-Aid approach to the growth, and that is not okay. Accepting the recommendation by administration will show our stakeholders that we have a long-term plan for growth and not a piecemeal approach. So I hope that you will consider that. Thank you.
Jan Ogino?
President Ceja Martinez, members of the board, Mrs. Pallas Thompson. I'm not necessarily here to discuss the bond proposal as is written in the agenda tonight. I'm mainly concerned about the committee process. As you know, we spent a lot of time in the committee talking and bantering, and it's healthy to have discussions, and it's healthy to disagree. And I wholeheartedly feel that when a group is not like-minded and unlike-minded, that they come up with some of the best decisions. I would have supported the bond, whether the bond was at 149 or 189, that's beside the point for me. Whatever the needs of the district are, that's what we need to go for. What I do want to say, though, is that the committee process is extremely important and needs to be preserved, and the integrity of it needs to be preserved. And I understand that in rare cases such as this, the recommendations of the bond must and need be amended to meet the needs of the district. So, however, in the future, I would like you to consider that the committee process and the recommendations from the committee, the time spent, the information we received is extremely important, and I hope it's a rarity in the future that a recommendation would be amended or looked at again on your level. So that's all I want to say, but thank you very much.
Thank you. And our last speaker this evening, Rick Guthridge.
President Ceja Martinez and members of the governing board, Superintendent Thompson. My name is Rick Guthridge. Obviously, I served on the bond committee, and I want to echo some of the comments that have been made tonight about the committee itself to start with. I've served on 3 bond committees. This was by far the most deliberative, most passionate, most engaged group I have ever seen on any of the committees I've served on in the district. So they deserve a good round of applause because they worked really hard. We worked for 7 months on this. And as you can guess, the issue of the high school was a little contentious, and I fully intend to contribute to that contention with my remarks tonight. District Policy BA clearly states, the governing board is responsible to the people of the district and therefore should be aware of opinions and attitudes in the community that owns and supports our schools. To disregard the community's views is to disregard your responsibilities as our representatives. To claim voters don't support education because they reject your bond propositions is to disrespect the PUSD community and your own governing board policy. In 2016, PUSD voters rejected a bond that included a new high school for the North. Only 4 of 54 precincts across PUSD passed the bond. And while the rejection was overwhelming and district-wide, What was most striking was that the neighborhoods surrounding Liberty and Sunrise Mountain High Schools rejected the bond by a staggering 20% margin. They decisively said no to a new high school and continued high taxes. The surrounding retirement communities, where most PUSD residents are on fixed incomes, they rejected the bond by even larger margins. Okay? When you are so soundly rejected at the polls, it is incumbent upon you to strike a balance that moves us together, that moves us forward together as a community. The deliberate overcrowding of our northern high schools can be addressed by means other than the construction of a new school. We will need a school in time, but we don't need it right this minute. District administration has used variance policy to allow over 500 students from mostly from the Deer Valley School District, to take seats away from incoming PUSD students. District projections of future enrollment, which are used to support or used to justify the new school, are based in part on continuing the policy of allowing Deer Valley students to take our seats. To expect PUSD residents to build a high school for Deer Valley students is outrageous.
Thank you, Mr. Gutrich. I appreciate your comments.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
No, I don't have any more slips. Amanda Wall.
Good evening, President Ceja Martinez, members of the board, and Superintendent Palis Thompson. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to serve on the bond committee. I thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity, and I felt that we had good dialogue and good conversation. I support the majority of the proposal that we brought forth to you today. I feel that it does a great job addressing the modernization needs of the district, as well as allowing site-based allocations for the schools, the oldest schools in our community in order of age. The one thing that has been weighing on my mind is the fact that it does not include money for a new high school. I am a parent of 4 children. As of today, I guess, they are juniors and freshmen at Liberty, and a 5th and 3rd grader at Lake Pleasant. I am also a classified employee at Liberty, so I get to see the students every day on a daily basis. And I am concerned that if we don't have funds for a new high school, that Liberty and Sunrise Mountain will become overcrowded to where we're going to have students overflowing and have nowhere to send them. If we try to wait for another bond, I fear that we're going to do that at the detriment of our kids' education. I don't know that we would be able to come up with any reasonable solutions that would keep them to a school close enough to home for driving distance purposes. And I am also concerned about opportunities such as electives in CTE and NHS and all those other opportunities that really make up the high school experience. So I would ask that you consider the administration's proposal to add the $40 million for the high school. I believe that represents a comprehensive bond that really addresses our 3 main needs that we had addressed: the modernization, the growth, and the site-based allocations. And I feel like that would give the voters the most comprehensive plan to vote on. And I, for one, also am planning on supporting it and getting the word out and trying my best to let people know what the bond's about. I think a lot of times they don't know what's in a bond or what it addresses. And so I think help getting the word out to the voters will make a big difference. Thank you for your time.
We're out of slips. It's green. Green. Jill Malagrani, thank you.
Good evening, President Ceja Martinez, members of the board, and Superintendent Mrs. Palace Thompson. I am a Frontier and Sunrise Mountain High School parent, and I'm also the Vice President of Membership for PUPC. I would like to first thank you so much for selecting me to be part of the bond committee. I enjoyed every single minute of it. I was so happy to see that all of the improvements that would benefit the entire district were voted on unanimously, and it was also our #1 concern. Of these improvements, one area that I found important was safety, and this bond includes safety standards that would be implemented district-wide. Each school would have these things: a property secured with fencing, interior and exterior. A front office would have a queuing area with a button to buzz in visitors, a lockdown button for the school, a badging system that would have facial recognition, cameras installed, and an electronic marquee that could communicate instantly with the community. I truly appreciate your time, and I will put every ounce of effort I have into getting that $189 million bond passed, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
More green slips? Well, we'll go ahead and start with comment. Ms. Connect.
Yeah, I just made notes of the things that really resonated with me. I haven't changed my position since the last time we were going to go out for a bond. I thought we needed a full comprehensive bond then, and I still do. So I'll be supporting the recommendation tonight. And I want to thank administration for doing the hard work and coming up with that recommendation that I think is great. And I think it's still it honors the work of the committee and just adds to it and makes it better. So I think that was a real good thing. But the things that really resonated with me, one of our speakers said that it may not directly affect her family in that she may not have students in a new school, but it absolutely will affect everybody who lives in the Peoria Unified School District. I remember several years ago, there was a new housing development going in down by Kellis. And it was right on the border between two neighboring school districts. And the housing development put up a banner that must have been 20 feet across by 6 feet high and hung it on the outside of their community and said, "We're the Peoria Unified School District." And developers do that because the Peoria Unified School District sells houses, right? Those developers that are moving up there are moving into a community that is well known for a high-quality school district and a community that will rally around them. I wasn't going to say this, but there's a great book called Schools Can't Do It Alone. And it's a great book, I recommend it, and it's about primarily how the #1 asset of a strong school district is the community support. And to hear some of our speakers talk about a unified community, we're all for one, one for all, really warms my heart. But I got off track of what I was going to say. But the things that really resonated with me tonight are how important it is that we have class sizes and school sizes that don't limit the opportunities for our kids. The reason we have a K-8 model in the Peoria Unified School District is so that middle school kids in particular have greater access to sports and clubs and band and chorus. Because if you had all of our middle school kids in one school, it's still just one band, it's still just one football team, it's still just one chorus, right? And so when we get into these mega campuses, we are limiting the opportunities for kids to find out who they are and what they're really good at. And so that resonated with me. Teachers sharing classrooms. Only yesterday, a different teacher on a different campus shared with me that they were sharing classrooms and how challenging that is. And I think, when we talk about we wish that we could give our teachers bigger raises, and when we can't, we should make their jobs easier. And certainly doubling up in a classroom isn't moving in the opposite direction. Building relationships we're all very hypersensitive, not hypersensitive, but duly sensitive to the social emotional condition on our campuses right now, and allowing our teachers to build quality relationships with students and students to have quality relationships where they can look out for one another is so important and more difficult in overcrowded classrooms. I think it is fiscally responsible. It is never fiscally responsible to fail to invest. You end up losing money in the long run. And the fact that we're able to do this without raising taxes to our community is phenomenal. I've driven those communities. I know that it's 11 miles from up in Vistancia down to Liberty already. That's a long way in a long day. So those are the things that just really resonated with me. I'm optimistic that we can make this happen, and I am so encouraged by the sentiment of support and the pledge of assistance. And thank you very much.
Ms. Pingarelli?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank the bond committee. This bond committee has been together for 7 months. The bond committee is, I think, as diverse as the board is in our community. I think that they have come together and have had a great recommendation at $149,000. I think that this would be not a complete fix. I've looked at the data. Everybody knows I like looking at data, and I do appreciate the presentation. When I look at the data for Liberty, it's 127% right now at capacity. I look at Sunrise Mountain, it's 110. Actually, all but 2 of our high schools are over capacity. And after this evening, I would like for administration to look at out-of-district students, because out-of-district students have caused an increased class size at our various high schools. I don't mind accepting students as a governing board member from out of district if the school is under capacity. Once we put it over capacity, that is taking away the experience from the student, the parents, and the teachers that have to deal with an oversized classroom. I do want to say that I read all the emails. I know for one of the speakers, I did not respond to all the emails. One email stuck out to me from a parent from Liberty that said that their student was a sophomore at Liberty and has never been able to eat in the cafeteria. So I assure you, I went through every single email, and I will get back to you. It's just going to be after the fact. So I want to thank the committee for their recommendation, and I want to thank administration for their recommendation.
Mr. Sandoval.
Thank you, and thank you to the committee and administration for your due diligence, your collaboration. And Jan, you brought up, sometimes that, courageous conversations, which are healthy, to make us smarter and more informed with regard to the decisions that we make on behalf of the district. That said, one of the things that Mr. Moss stated when he was speaking was the fact that the city of Peoria is growing. More communities are being established and built within our city. To echo what Ms. Connect stated earlier, yes, that is taking place and is exciting, but please keep in mind that that is taking place because of the tradition of excellence that PUSD continues to uphold every day. And that's a result of every one of you in this room and all of your associates throughout the district and the community. We've always been very good as a district at adapting to the shifting needs of our student population, whether it be diversity, students with special needs, in this case, the growth in our community. It is important with regard to making sure that we continue to not be complacent, to understand what may be coming around the corner, and making sure that we're always looking forward and thinking forwardly and addressing those trends and that data in a very proactive way. So thank you to everybody for your efforts and truly informing a bond that is pure and that will have a global and lasting impact of the city of Peoria on a move forward basis. So thank you for that. So for me, I absolutely support the district's recommendation to add those dollars to the recommendation of the committee, so we can continue to serve our students in a way that we've been proud of serving over the last many, many years. So thank you again.
Ms. Stone?
Well, I would like to thank the bond committee and the many hours that they put in, the diligence that was shown, the passion, the interest. I did find myself rather taken aback that administration had amended the recommendation by the bond committee. It is one of the duties of a citizens bond committee to investigate and report to the governing board if they find there is a need for a bond, to assess the community and see what they believe will pass, because we do need a bond. I do know that we are going to need a high school in the north. I believe that it's going to be harder to get a bond passed with that on there, because I've had a lot of comments from a lot of people that were angry with the teacher walkout. They blame the district. They're angry about it, and have told me they're, in no uncertain terms, they're not voting for a bond, and that worries me. Some of our facilities are not exactly safe. We need a bond to take care of this. We do need a bond for a high school, but I think that if we held off on the high school for a couple of years, it would give us a little breathing room if we removed the variances. I'm not a gambler. I'm very much not a gambler. And I feel that the larger bond may be gambling with the safety of our students and staff. I can see from the comments of my fellow board members that they're excited about the bond, and I'm happy for them. And I'm very concerned about the bond not passing. It's an issue that I have heard a lot of very negative comments on. So the question I would like to put there is no question, but we're going to pass a bond on to the public to vote on. Absolutely, we're gonna pass the question to our community. But also, I would like to ask the question, since the bond failed so badly last time, what are we gonna do if it fails again? What are we going to do with those buildings that are not safe for our students and staff? I like to err on the side of caution. I'm not a jump in feet first sort of person. And I really felt that the $149 million bond had a better chance with our community. So that's the question on my mind, is what do we do if the larger bond fails?
At this point, I'll take an opportunity to address. I took a lot of notes we all received a lot of emails, and all valid points, Ms. Doan, Ms. Connect, North and South. In the investment industry, we like to say past performance does not guarantee future performance. And I would like to hope that that is the case in the situation of what took place in 2016. Highlight some of the comments that the community members came to address us, that we are no longer sitting in the same environment. And Peoria is exactly that. We have the level of excellence, as Mr. Sandoval has identified, but this is not the environment that we used to live in. We are growing. We have a diverse community. And if there are two things that I have continuously brought up that I stand by, is inclusivity. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so the Community Advisory Committee, it was uncomfortable. I attended almost all the meetings. They did a phenomenal job hashing it out. Some members more challenging than others, I will admit, but all with the right frame of mind of serving our students. I believe when I do research, I also look at opportunities. How do we learn from diversity? One of this research and I sent to you, Dr. Gard, creative abrasion, the ability to generate ideas through discourse and debate. So I want to keep that on the mind of the forefront. The other big piece is community involvement. I would be disingenuous if I didn't accept all the voices from the community. So I recognize if I don't agree with you at some point or another, it doesn't, I stand by community involvement and engaging your voice. So I appreciate you coming up here and sharing. The 2017 bond, I did not agree with because it wasn't equitable. This committee has done that, and I appreciate all your work efforts. You came from all different areas of the community, and you've done that. I also honor the work of my administration, who are professionals and have done the due diligence to provide evidence to support what needs to be addressed at the community level. So at this time, I respect everybody's voice, and we should move forward. We have a motion and a second by Ms. Connect for $189,195,000 presented by our administration and our advisory committee. It is time for a vote. Motion passes 5-0. If you don't mind, can I take a quick restroom, unless you guys want to keep going? Okay, thank you. Be nice. All right.
It should take us 10 minutes or less. don't
Yes.
you?
Thank you.
Whenever you're ready. I got it.
Almost everybody here, waiting on one more.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you tonight.
Miss Pengarelli, she's in the restroom.
This was a letter that an email I sent to a woman who is a person in charge of Parents Together organization. And her question was, should teachers be armed? So that's from you. That's
Super. Great, great. The person that is running my safety thing
Yes.
is the guy
Yeah.
next to Steve, right next to Kenny, right next to the woman that was in the gray hair.
Yes.
It's right there.
On the research, you will see
This is great.
So, you need to, when you get a chance. As if you don't have enough, right? I also know Sharon Walcott, mayor of Surprise. And she has been asking me for any information at all.
I wasn't?
No.
To whom?
Gilbert, no, Kathy Giffords, because she's in charge of that. So I get an email, I send it to her.
Oh, super.
So I have her ear, and I'm going to address this with her too.
That's good.
That's where I'm out there doing what I have.
And thank you so much. Just wave to Steve. Just say hello.
It looks like we had almost everybody here. Yes. Just a couple more minutes. I know you guys want to hang out with us, being the last day of school.
Don't stop. They're all so slap happy this time. They're so slap happy right now. The whole group is. I've never had it either. But, what? Oh, I could do. There. I could do 7. Did you start
Okay.
that already?
All right, we're going to go ahead and start. The next item is not an action item. 7.4, report and discussion on local, state, and federal issues and activities.
Mrs. Sejas Martinez, there is nothing happening right now, but I would like to turn it over for a second to Mrs. Airy. Danielle? Hello?
Sure, my mic was on. President Sejas Martinez, members of the board, Mrs. Pallas Thompson, on the very, very, very local level, I just wanted to make note that this evening is our CFO, Mr. Hicks, his last board meeting with us, and I thought that that was certainly worthy of our attention and a round of applause, actually. So thank you, Mr. Hicks, for all of your work and support at our district.
When's your last day?
You're watching that, right? No? And you said, Mr. Hicks, there was no other legislative thing we have to talk about tonight, then?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, great.
Okay. Number 7.5, request for agenda items for future governing board meetings. Ms. Doan?
I do have a question. How are we prioritizing these items? I don't think we need to get to them by when they were requested necessarily, but how are we prioritizing these?
That's actually, Mrs. Doan, a very, very good question. We were just working on that yesterday because
Michelle, who, if you haven't met her yet, you need to. She's keeping us very, very organized. These were the requested, and we now have put another column in there that's saying who's addressing them, have we addressed them yet, and when are we going to? So you'll be seeing that in the next report.
Good. I have had some conversation with parents regarding the bullying issues and stuff like that, and I think that's a very important issue that might be brought to the front if people would agree with me on that. That's an extremely damaging issue to our students and teachers, perhaps.
I would second that. I would add it to a study session. I know this one's going to take some time.
It says study session.
Yes,
so.
Behavior health, and we include those items, and sooner than later, I would agree.
Hopefully during the summer we'll
I
have a
would
little
definitely
time.
agree with that.
We can do that.
Any other items, Ms. Stone?
Just a question for probably Mr. Gay. Do we have anything coming down the pike on our strategic plan?
Perfect. Yes.
Madam President, members of the board, Ms. Pallas Thompson, yes, we do. We've been thinking long and hard about how to proceed. And there's actually, oh, I can't talk about it. The answer is yes, we can give you a report. Sorry, I should have thought of that.
All right, that's good. Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yeah, no new items for me, but yeah, I know we've talked about it before, is how we prioritize these items on the on these requests. Sorry, to talk about in a future board meeting. You know, I don't know if. I mean, it sounds like you're having that discussion, Linda, internally on how to determine that. But, you know, I mean, is it something we need to discuss? You know, I don't know if there's a timeline we put on it, or, you know, I know we're going through our strategic planning session, et cetera. But, you know, I just think, you know, if you know, once it gets placed on the board, it's, you know, if we put it on the clock and, you know, call it 90 days out, and I'm making that up, but I'm just trying to throw out ideas out there at how we determine how these are addressed in future board meetings. So I don't know.
So can we add that to when we meet with our strategic plan meeting, that we also add strategically plan for agenda items, like that literally be an agenda item?
Mrs. A.S. Martinez, that's a good idea. Hopefully when things calm down now, we'll be able to address these in a more systematic, normal way. Timed way, yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Ms. Pangarelli?
No.
Ms. Connect? Okay, I do have a couple. One, we did receive a lot of emails, not just from our schools up north, but student parking and policy on campus. And that's not a priority, but it seems to be that there's a lot of concerns with student parking and looking at our policy on our campuses. Is there a second? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's okay.
That would be something we could prioritize, and if there are changes to be made before.
For the school year start, it's a good idea.
Next, the renegotiation developer assistance agreement and an update. That was also a lot of emails saying, where is that agreement with this and within the district? Okay. And the last item, discuss and consider superintendent contract for 2018-2019 school year for Ms. Linda Pallas Thompson. And I'm just using it so that we can discuss it in a future agenda item. I know May 30th is going to give us some context, but we need to at least put it on agenda so that if we have the ability to put it on a future agenda, we can, depending on what happens on May 30th. $1 to 4:30. It should be on the Wednesday.
Right time?
Yes. 1 to 4:30. So just note, that is Wednesday, May 30th, 1 to 4:30 here at the district office. Any other future agenda items? Okay. All right. Informational reports. District budget report for the month of March 31st. District enrollment reports for the month 8.2. These can all be found online. 8.3, budget facilities planning and construction report. 8.4, report on upcoming meetings and events. Just go ahead and pull that one up. Today is the last day of school for our kiddos. And I want to add one more time, May 30th, in this room, we will have our McPherson and Jacobson present the data on the findings of the community feedback, the surveys, the online feedback, and their recommendation. So that's on May 30th. That's not on here on the list. 1 to 4:30.
Mr. Davidson, is that 4 hours?
And since he doesn't have a microphone, Dr. Davison just stated the allotted time is 1 to 4:30. They are going to present information on that feedback, and recommendations to the board may include some discussion and consideration with activities or based on the feedback, literally from the community. So if we get out earlier, that may happen. But I believe they have, a part of their package is part of this conversation. Is that correct, Dr. Davidson? All right, 8.5, future agenda, draft agenda for the June 14th board meeting is up there, but it's to be determined. We obviously have a long list. 9.1, address and agenda and consider adoption of any recommendations. Changes to the agenda. To readdress any changes. Address agenda and consider adoption or recommend changes.
It usually says it's an opportunity for board members to readdress
Readdress.
anything that we've already talked about.
Right.
No change.
So we'll probably add the word re. So thank you for catching that. All right, and number 10, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Well, second.
We have a first by Ms. Connect and a second by Ms. Doan. All in favor, let's do a voice vote. Aye. Motion passes. 9:09.
I'm so tired.